MeTV 24 Meridian proudly presents your favorite way to start the day. Welcome to Mornings with Scotty Ray and Candace.
And good morning from Scotty Ray and Candace. And Candace forgot to shave this morning.
Yeah, well, she got a hat, too.
Britt Gully in with us this morning, filling in for Candace while she's off to go see her son graduate from the military, the big boot camp ceremony they have in San Antonio.
That's a pretty big deal.
It is. Well, you've been to San Antonio a couple times, haven't you?
Yeah, I think we played out there, but I hadn't joined the military yet.
Ooh, me neither. But
I was
you
playing honky tonks out there with Scott.
I thought that's where y'all played a lot in Texas when y'all had the record deal, didn't
we
you?
We rambled around all over the place, and the kind of music we were playing was going over in Texas. That's when, still playing a little Western swing and George Strait stuff, and they could still two-step, and the line dancing hadn't quite taken over yet.
Oh, yeah, I remember the line dancing days.
That is where I learned how to lie and dance.
So what are they? I refer to, is it bro country? What we got now?
That's what they claim. That's I try not to hear it.
I'm with you on it. It is so different than what you and I grew up on and what you've played all your life. Now, do you get requests for that in the honky tonks when you play?
Well, I haven't played many honky tonks in a while, but
yeah,
they know what I'm going to do, and if somebody requests something stupid,
you're not going to play it.
I'll ignore them, and then have them ushered out of there.
There you go. Get them out in a hurry.
Have Kimberly Jean clear the room.
She's your manager these days, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, the wife keeps them on a tight string there on there. She book all your dates and everything for you now?
Well, I'm trying to get her to do that. She'll load equipment.
Well, that's a step in the right direction.
Right.
So for those of you who don't know, I welcome you in this morning. With us, Britt Gully from Cow Creek, Mississippi is where he's from.
Sure enough.
Britt's been all over the world, played country music, been a musician all your life. You've even, London, what is the deal that you went across the big sea to do?
We've been over there a couple of times, and we're scheduled to go last year. The China virus messed us up.
It's called the Maverick Festival?
Yeah, the Maverick Festival in Suffolk, England. And we may go this year if we can get across there and not worried about things. But that's a great country music festival. Paul Spencer puts it on.
Yeah. And
he has him one big headliner and then other people that are just good musicians.
Right.
That you hadn't necessarily heard of. But it's a good thing, and it's on this old farm that I think it's 400 years old.
Wow.
Buildings and all that kind of stuff.
A lot of people attend.
Forever over there. Yeah, it's a big thing, and we have a lot of fun over there.
I've even seen pictures of Britt representing us in New York and different places.
Yeah,
You've gone quite a few and done.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to go up there and tell them who we are and where we're from.
We were going to have some musical entertainment this morning until we found us a technical difficulty a while ago to where whatever I got going on, the guitar gets canceled out and will not record.
And it's past us figuring it out, too.
Yeah, we've tried everything for the last 30 minutes.
We need an electrical engineer.
Right. I know where one is in Mississippi State, and he ain't here.
Yeah. Boy, I let you down in the clutch, morning.
He did. He just hadn't come home in quite some time. He said those boys want some report, and he can't come back right now.
I wanted him to be here this morning and introduce me and all.
Yeah, well, he should have been. Yeah. And we're talking about Dylan Ray is who we're talking about. He's been out of town. He didn't even make it back for the 4th of July. Those they told him they had to have some piece of paper, and he couldn't leave his post.
When you're important, I guess that kind of stuff clicks in.
The picture that I used last night to promote that Britt was going to be here. Let me pull this up where everybody can see this. This was where was this taken at?
That was a Heritage Day in DeKalb. Hoppy showed up with his Gretsch guitar and his bologna sandwich in his lunchbox. It was a new guitar, so he had me to play it. I don't know. I don't remember if I got a bite of that sandwich or not.
Hoppy may have kept it. And for those of who Hoppy Spinks, he played for how many years? Did all his life, didn't he?
Showed us how, and I learned a lot from Hoppy. Great songwriter. poet laureate of Kemper County.
He sure was, and missed greatly. Yeah. Sure do miss all that.
So hot.
One of the big news this morning is, well, absolutely nothing happened yesterday. I carried it live from the Meridian City Council. There was a lot of folks that wanted to know what was going to go on. Were they going to bring Chris Reed back? Were they going to vote on that? And the best I can tell, absolutely nothing happened. Is that what you got out of it?
It seems we're in charge and we're doing it this way.
Yeah, that's what I got out of it.
That's the way it looked to me.
So Chris will be our special guest on Friday morning. He'll be in to talk about all that's gone on. So be ready for that. We'll find out a little bit more behind the scenes.
It looked like Chris was doing a good job to me. And
He
I
was.
don't know Chris, but from the news and what you would see in the paper and such, it looked like to me he was cracking down on a few things.
You know, and there's normally a police officer is either people don't know your name, they could care less. But boy, the community support for a man it was strong.
Seems to be real popular.
Brought back some horses, done a lot with the kids, and that's I think that's what touched so many. And he had
When kids like you, that's a pretty good sign.
right. And then then there's that other thing of bringing up God. There's so many people in their line of work that just ignore who God is, and he didn't. He put that first and foremost. So we'll find out what Chris is going to do, what the thoughts are. Is there any hope of him coming back? We'll find out Friday morning, go behind the scenes and get a little bit more information on that. So
I bet a good one to tune into.
yeah.
And I don't think he plays guitar, so you won't have to worry about mics canceling out.
You know,
He just sang a cappella.
when Scott was here with us last time, we had Scott, and that was the first time since I'd gotten this new equipment, and we did it live without checking. And about halfway through that, I figured out something don't sound right over there.
Scott messed something up while he was down.
That's what it was. So we bought a new microphone that was supposedly, for guitars that would, that didn't work either. So it's past my educational experience on taking care of these things.
I'm hoping it's operator error.
Maybe. Let's hope so.
That's usually the easiest thing to correct.
So when was the last time you were on TV, Britt? Is this the first time in a while you've been on TV?
I guess so.
Anybody you want to say hi to?
I'll say hi to Kimberly Jean and Don Draper and Zooby Zooby Zoo and Smut and Amos Moses.
Well, there you go. I know Amos. I didn't know a couple of those other folks there. This is Wednesday, halfway through the week. What's going to go on with weather? Let's talk about that.
I got a guess.
You got a pretty good one, too, don't you?
Yeah, I was going to sing Rainy Day Woman for y'all. I had a list of rain songs I was going to do.
And that was about perfect for it. As we look at our forecast, here's the 7-day forecast as we pull this up this morning. And as you look across the board from Talbot Enterprises, rain and more rain and rain. Now, we got a chance about right there of maybe getting a break. We hope. But I'm not going to bet the farm on this at all. Now, of course, you got a lot of cattle.
I ain't got a lot, but I got some. But
they work,
grass is growing everywhere except in the pasture.
Hay, I brought this up this morning. You can't cut hay right now with all this rain.
Right.
And so is this going to be a problem for the farmer come winter?
I doubt it. It'll
Balance out.
There's a few days you can do it.
I know
my garden's all grassed up. I stayed ahead of it this past week, but no more.
Lost it. My watermelons keep dying. You know how they'll turn black on the end? I guess they're getting too much water. I've chunked quite a few there. So that's what's going on with that. Let's see here.
Life on the farm.
My farm ain't near what your farm is. But this is what we're expecting here as we look across Mississippi today here of rain showers. It's going to happen 87 for Meridian, Philadelphia, 86. And then we go into the edge of Alabama over there. And I know you know a lot of folks. Yeah. Livingston, we're looking about 86 today for y'all's high. So not much different in the weather as we roll along. Just another wet, rainy day.
Has it been getting cold at night, or has Kimberly Jean just been freezing me with the air conditioner?
She's just been freezing. 74 was about it last night when I woke up about 4:30 this morning. Angie's the same way. And it's rough on fellas. You have to go get blankets.
Yeah, buffalo robe. July, I'm sleeping under a buffalo robe.
Dylan Ray, when he comes home, he walks around with a big coat on all through the house. And she just thinks it's normal. Yeah, It gets
we got
freeze.
this air conditioner. We're going to use it.
We had one of them what you call boo-boos in life last night at the Boyd household. Of the air conditioning line got backed up and filled up with water, and now we got to have us a new ceiling.
Oh, no.
Yeah. We'll work on that sometime this week. But it started dripping down, and I'm pretty sure it's my fault.
Well, we need to do it like they used to do the barn raisins. Everybody show up at Scotty Ray's house.
And fix the ceiling. Oh, lawnmower grass time is coming around. You can't hardly, honestly, you can't get your grass cut before the next day it's back up.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Now I hadn't been through the cabin. Did y'all? And I missed out on this. Did y'all have a big 4th of July fireworks show, or is that a thing of the past?
I think that's a thing of the past.
It used to be there at the Little League ball field years and years.
It was a big deal.
And so that's kind of just faded off.
Yeah.
Hate
I
to
can
see.
hear them somewhere. I think you hear them at
The tier?
Philadelphia.
Oh,
and there's a little bit of cloud cover.
Yeah,
Just right, you know, you hear.
over at the casino.
Yeah, I think that's what it must have been.
That had to have been there. Let's see. What's on tap for you today? What does Britt do today?
Well, I'm going to go home. I've got 2 or 3 guitars apart,
Uh-oh.
laying in, well, some of them in the floor and some of them on the table. I got working on them for folks. Got to get them back together. And
Yeah,
I need to fix fence all the time.
And I feel for you on the fence thing. That is a job of having to.
Dodged it lately, but it's getting to be a case I have to.
Fences, and it ain't easy.
I'm still not recovered from the ice storm.
You get a lot broke.
Yeah, Cow Creek Road caught more damage from the ice storm than about anywhere. It was just that right deal of rain and temperature. It rained and then it froze.
And so I'm sure that y'all went without power for quite a spell as well.
Not too bad. I had to run to the cab and get some cow feed, and Billy Allen said, "Well, I got a generator," so I borrowed Billy Allen's.
Kept you going for a little while.
So my lights are on. I don't need it. I got a generator. So I borrowed Billy's for a day or two, and yeah, we made it on through it fine. And I'm kind of like camping out anyhow. I worried about the freezer and such as that. That was my only concern.
You really don't think about that, of just how much money you got crammed down in your freezer till you go to replace something like that, especially if you got a big one.
And
I mean, meat's ridiculously high.
and work, garden, putting stuff up. And,
You don't want to lose it. So have a backup plan when all this goes out. And I always remember, if there's the threat of that, you better go get your gas, because when the power goes out, you can't pump gas either.
That's right.
That's one of those things. Maybe you got a propane one, but be prepared on that. We talk about that a lot on the weather side of what I do here. So keep that in mind.
Country boy can survive.
That's true. Let's take a minute and talk about our friends, well, at Snowden and Company. Of course, she's the old scuba gal there. She's got a little Kemper County in there. If you're looking for a home, Amanda and her professionals will help you out. If you need a home, if you're getting ready to sell yours, you've heard me talk about Amanda before. They can find your dream home. They can show you around. And then most of all, get you the most of your investment when it comes to get ready to sell. They'll take great pictures, and pictures worth 1,000 words, as they say. That's what really puts your home in the market and gets people to notice it. They have extraordinary marketing strategies, comparable market analysis. And what that basically means is they're going to compare homes that have been sold around and get you the most for yours. Attention to detail. They've got all this hands-on right there with you. Now, they handle homes in Lauderdale, Kemper, Newton, Clark, Neshoba. All of these places, they handle that, as you can browse around on their website at snowdenrealestate.com. They'll take the time, show you, 601-453-3937. They're right in the Broadmoor area, or you want to call it the North Hills area. Maybe that's a better way to do that. See her today. Amanda will help you out. She's a certified real estate negotiating expert. She's real good at it there. Designated seller representative there on Poplar Springs Drive. It's right down from News Restaurant. You can't miss it. It'll be on the right-hand side of the road in the curve there. See her today when it comes to buying a home, selling a home, or anything to do with that. Talk to her first before you do anything, and they'll help you.
I'm Rick from Meridian, second shift supervisor, a grandfather, and what some would call a goofball. My life changed forever on my way home from work one Friday night. The other driver was drunk. At my age, the bones don't heal as quickly. Recovery was slow. But I was able to focus on getting healthy because I had Richard Schwartz fighting for me every day. He got me the money I needed to get my life back on track.
Remember, I'm your Mississippi attorney, Richard Schwartz. I'm here for you. One call, that's all.
And welcome back with Scotty Ray and Britt as we begin this day. Wanted to bring this up. This has been postponed. Northcrest Baptist Church, in conjunction with the Love Out Loud, was going to have touch a truck yesterday afternoon. Due to the rain showers, this has been moved to Thursday afternoon instead. So if you were planning on going and then got there and nobody was there and you thought Brother Paul just ran off, it's been moved to Thursday afternoon.
You can still do it.
Yeah.
Still go down there and touch one.
Yeah, they're going to have the paramedics. They'll have fire trucks and cop cars if you've never been near one. Or if you've only been in the back seat, you can see what the front looks like.
That'd be fun. I may go do that.
But that's going to be on Thursday afternoon if you make it out. A few things that I wanted to bring up that went on this date. It was always interesting to go back and see what happened on this date. And you know this guy pretty well.
I've read everything I could find about Jesse James.
He robbed his very first train on this date back in 1873.
That was the first one?
That's what they say. Today was it, where he got his gang together. Now, he may have done something on his lonesome that they didn't know about. Yeah. But the first documented train robbery happened on this day. And of course, you know, if you really dig back into history, you know, a lot of folks paint him as being that bad guy. But, you know, he had a lot of reason to be bad. Yeah. They whooped up on his mom and tried to take his farm. And, well, he set out to set the record straight. He might have done one or two things bad along the way, but
righteous retribution.
The rumor was, and you tell me if there was truth to it, that he came through the Bentonville area.
I think so. They were heroes in the South.
Yeah.
And they were against the federal government and right in the wake of the war, and anybody with Southern sympathies
helped him out,
admired them, and was going to hide them out. Tex Whitson has a picture of Frank James that was taken in Meridian.
Now, really?
Gallagher Photographic Studios is written on the back of it.
Frank James in Meridian, Mississippi.
They had a connection. Frank was Jesse's older brother, for folks out there that don't know much of this.
I had no idea that. That is brand new to me. So Frank definitely was in the Meridian area at one point.
Picture taken in Meridian. Gallagher Photo Studios, Meridian, Mississippi.
Any idea what year that might have been?
No.
Could they trace it?
I don't know.
I was just curious if Jesse was still with us or that was after.
If I was guessing, I'd say it was after. But one of the Dalton boys moved to Meridian, the Dalton gang, and lived down here a while.
I didn't know that.
They were relatives of the Jameses, and tried to pull off two bank robberies at the same time.
And that went south.
Later on, yeah, that didn't work out too well for them. I like to rob my banks one at a time.
It seems to work a little bit better there. Now, of course, you know, and I don't know if anybody's really paid a lot of attention to history, but supposedly all across, especially throughout the South, there's money buried from Jesse James in case the South was ever to rise again.
The Knights of the Golden Circle.
That's it.
I don't know about that.
Now
it's possible, I guess.
I've watched this old boy, and this is where it kind of goes south. They say there's landmarks. Most of the money was buried close to railroads, and a lot of times it was in cemeteries. But they put markings on trees, and there's an old guy that's claimed he's dug up about $10,000 worth of gold from that. The treasure hunters, because most of the trees are gone now. Yeah. You know, there's very few that could be there.
That's like these Indian trail trees.
Yeah.
20-year-old tree with limb broke down on.
Yeah, it's not there.
I don't know, but if you did, there could have been a scheme underway to do something like that. But as time goes on and the old boy's sitting there on the porch, I believe I think I'll head down there and maybe see about that stuff, dig up a little bit, buy me a new mule.
And I don't see it being there. But, you know, and also you go back, Mosby's Raiders, supposedly somewhere right outside of Virginia. There's a complete, there was money that was robbed from a federal payroll that was supposedly, they were being chased and they had to bury it in the heat of the night and they never found it. After that, they couldn't remember where they buried the money and it's supposed to be there. I don't know. But, you know.
Anything can happen, and I guess has. And
You reminded me, this was about 20 years ago. Britt told me, I think you said your daddy was working on a depot somewhere and they dug up a hole, something underneath the.
Yeah, Daddy worked for the Illinois Central Gulf Railroad, and their main office was in Centralia, Illinois.
Right.
And they were tearing up the depot up there, and there was a room that had been walled up, just in remodeling. There wasn't a way to get in. Though they tore into it, and there was a strong box in there full of Confederate money. So he got a magazine called Carmen's Journal,
right?
Radio stuff. So any of the railroad folks had the opportunity to buy some of the Confederate money.
Wow!
So I got a $500 bill, Confederate money, and a $10 bill, Confederate money. I wish I'd have bought all they had.
Now, because that's a thing of the past now. But that's amazing. What year was that? In the 60s, 50s?
No, that was probably 79 or 80.
So it'd been sealed for that right at 100 years somewhere.
And it's the real deal. It's not these copies like you see, and it's a real nice condition because it's been there.
Yeah,
all the
locked
time.
up.
And it's yellowed some, but not much. Or I guess it just faded instead of yellowed.
It's a great talking piece. I got a $5 bill for my birthday. Dylan gave me that, bought that for me, give it to me for my birthday one time. So that's pretty good.
Good to have. And I remember when I was a kid, you'd see them. Old ladies would have them in their Bibles.
Right.
They'd kept all that time. That's
not worth the print that it's. But now it's a different story of collectors and things of that nature. That stuff's worth a little money.
Confederate dollar's worth way more than the U.S. dollar now.
Now, this guy was a famous writer who was born on this date. Who remembers him? Ernest Hemingway. 1899 was when he was born.
Much a man.
From Whom the Bell Tolls, he wrote. And
The Old Man in the Sea.
Which one of those would you say would be the famous? The Old Man in the Sea?
Probably.
A lot of folks like Hemingway. A great writer, storyteller.
He was an interesting fella. He got out there and done a few things.
He did. Now, one of these, I don't care who you are, you know who this fella is. And he had a birthday on this. It just clowned his entire life.
Yeah.
But what a guy he was.
Brilliant.
And here he is. Don Knotts was born on this date back in 1924. And I never quite understood. I guess he went on to, after he left the Andy Griffith Show, to go do movies and things of that nature. But as with Andy had a little run there, but he never got a role that really fit him like that did. That was probably the best.
That was a wonderful combination, the two of them playing off of each other. And supposedly it was just some sort of misunderstanding why they ever shut it down. But Andy and Barney had to be on there for it. That next.
Yeah,
what is his name?
Return of Mayberry RFD or Mayberry RFD.
That stuff just didn't quite get there.
The guy that played on Mama's Family, was kind of like that. It didn't have that charisma.
And that silly deputy that replaced Barney.
Yeah, I don't even know his name. He just kind of became minute. It didn't matter anymore.
Have you ever read anything about Don Knotts?
No, I hadn't.
His daddy was mean, and
kind of tough on him,
and made him. He would clown to diffuse the situation.
So I didn't know.
He'd been funny all his life because that was the way he made it through things.
So although his daddy was bad, it almost turned him into. It made him what he was, so to speak.
He was in the Army during World War II, and they saw how funny he was, so he didn't have to do much shooting. He just done a whole lot of clowning.
A lot of entertaining there. So I'll be. Barbara Snyder said that they grew up together. I wasn't aware of that. That's news to me. I didn't know that.
I don't know. Don Knotts was from Virginia.
Yeah, I knew.
West Virginia.
Andy was from North Carolina, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Huh.
I'm sure they met early on.
Crossed at some point.
Yeah, I think they were buddies too.
Now, the first time I ever saw this next guy that's got a birthday today, it was Mork from Ork, I think was it. Appeared on Fonzie. Happy Days. Of course, we all had to twist the antenna back in the day to see all that. But 1951, Robin Williams was born.
His great-great-grandpa was governor of the great state of Mississippi.
You're kidding.
Ansel Adams.
That was his great grandfather?
Great grandpa.
Now I had no clue.
Surely
Britt.
was.
Now, how'd you run up on that information?
Well, it's history's fun.
Yeah.
And then where it all shows up. And another connection. After that big shootout in DeKalb during Reconstruction,
Yeah, it's got a name.
Pap and all of them had to go to federal court in Jackson.
Uh-huh.
And I said Adams a while ago. For McLaurin was his
McLaurin.
last name. Anselm McLaurin. He was their lawyer. So Robin Williams' great grandpa defended my great grandpa in federal court and got him off.
Wow. I did not know that.
In 1876, somewhere right in there.
Small world.
Yeah.
So a connection to Mississippi. Huh. Well, I have learned something this
I'd like
morning.
to have ran into him somewhere.
I bet so.
Hey, more. You ever hear about this?
It's so shocking because he seemed like one of the happiest men that you'd ever run into, and then
Suffered badly from depression.
and for those of us who don't have that, it's just hard to wrap your mind around. But people suffer from that.
Yeah, it's a bad thing.
So look, if you got friends that suffer from that, look out for them. This is almost like a two-hit wonder guy that has a birthday today. Country, I met him several times. He was real nice. He was from Canada, but he was if I remember right, what song that he Alberta, Canada is where he come from. Since Hank Snow, that's it. My Heart Has a History. Paul Brandt has a birthday on this, and back in the early '90s, he had a song.
Great singer. He had one song that I sang at 2 or 3.
Wedding.
I
I Do.
Do was the name of it.
Sure was.
Sang at weddings, and
Great song.
he was a great singer, a little bitty fella.
Sure was. It's like bumping into Ken Mellons. He's about yay tall. But, videos, they fool you with the back. The videos aren't that special anymore. But back, in the early 90s, that was a big deal.
Looked like $1 million.
Yeah.
Video.
They could make you 10 foot tall and bulletproof. And then you bump into them and go, who are you? I don't know you. It's kind of like the Facebook apps now. Where
Some folks wear that out, don't they?
they take these pictures and then you meet them in person and you really don't know who they are. They got a facial, it just changes the looks of you.
Yeah, and some folks use Facebook to meet girls or meet boys.
They do.
And suppose you think you see this picture, and when you get there, you don't even recognize
It scare you. You almost have to do it. Ken Rainey told a story years ago when he was a single fella that he had this old girl used to call him at the radio station, and he was supposed to meet her one night, and he said she sure sounded pretty, and he said he just kept right on driving when he passed by.
I've heard him tell that.
But he tells it with a little bit more charisma to that story.
He's told it more than you have.
Yeah, he knows a little bit more about it, but I don't blame him. He just kept right on rolling there. So Denise Burnside brought up that Andy and also Don Knotts were in No Time for Sergeants together in that movie back in.
Wonderful movie.
It was.
And Barney plays a psychiatrist in it. And Andy bent his rings that he was supposed to.
That's
got
right.
out of disconnected mojo. He bent the thing.
And if y'all have never watched that, look, it's black and white, but really, truly.
Funniest movies ever.
Yeah, movies back then, and if you'll notice, there's so many movies now that they do remakes, so they can't come up with a good new idea anymore. You've seen that.
Yeah, everything's been thought of.
Yeah, it has, or it seems to be anyway there. Let's see. William Beckham said his dad worked on the railroad and bumped into Frank James in Meridian in 1917 or 1918. That's interesting.
Frank James and Cole Younger toured with a Wild West show at some point, and they came to Meridian for that. My great-grandpa met them at the fair in Meridian. Said Frank James sat there and read a paper. Cole Younger jumped up and shook his hand, and the real fella well met. Enjoyed talking to him, and said Frank reached up and shook his hand. Never did stop reading the paper.
So he was kind of
kind of dour, I think.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting there. you know, it's just you go back and you watch the movies, and boy, the life they lived. And there's been many a Frank James movie made with all of that. But yeah, check out those history books there. You might.
When we were kids, me and Marcus Gully used to beat each other to death playing Frank and Jesse James. We ran all over everything at Bloomfield and Cow Creek.
Oh, going back. Do you remember this song from 1973? It was number 1 on this date. Satin Sheets to Lie On.
I got $100 tip one night for singing that song.
Did you now? Boy, I bet.
I found another man who can love me more than you can.
And you sang that.
Some old boy playing some New Year's Eve party over in Alabama, and they was throwing money around pretty good.
And you was collecting.
He requested the song, and I can't sing it. That's a girl song. Mike Brown said, "Do you know it?" I said, "Yeah, I know it, but I'm not fixing to sing it." And the fella had $100. Mike reached and grabbed it and said, "All right, we fixing to sing." So I got up there, sung it straight from one end to the other.
That almost what was at the Blues Brothers when they had to sing "Stand by Your Man" in the movie.
Kind of thing.
Stand by your man. But anyway, that was a great song. Which boy, she delivered it too. Satin Sheets to Lie On.
And the kickoff on it.
Yeah,
Good.
grabs your attention right out of the box there. Let's see here. Ray said that Andy and Aunt B did not get along. That's true.
That's what I've heard. I don't think anybody got along with Aunt B.
She was.
She thought she was on a higher level than them, I think.
Yeah.
She had done all. She was an actor.
Done Broadway and that
Yeah.
type of things, and that was just kind of hillbilly-ish. That's the way I took it.
I think so. And I think she apologized to some of them later on in life about the way she had been so aloof. And
She left. Her will was. I think she ended up leaving most of her money to like a library. And then you jump across the fence, which made me remember Miss Jane from the Beverly Hillbillies.
Yeah.
She died just dirt broke poor. That was
didn't know that.
before they got into where you made money off of reruns, and they really didn't make anything. And bless her heart, she died kind of like the girl from Gilligan's Island that just passed away, Dawn Wells. She died in an old folks' home with barely anything. They done a GoFundMe to help pay her medical bills about 3-4 years ago.
it's just because everybody knows who you are. Don't
Yeah.
mean
You got
made
something.
any money off anything.
But boy, she sure would. And that goes back to the old saying of Ginger or Mary Ann. And I think most of everybody always chose the Mary Ann side of the girl next door of being the
Yeah.
cutest.
Ginger, I could see a lot of trouble in that.
Yeah, yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, she's the only one that's still alive from that cast. Because the professor's passed. I think she's it. Gunsmoke took them off the air if you wanted to know the rest of it. Now, this is where, I bring this up, this is kind of where country music went, is the to the left, is that what I want to say? Rascal Flatts, who remembers them? They released a video on this date back in 03, and it was I Melt was the name of the video, and it had nudity in it for the first time
I
ever.
remember that silly boy turned his behind up.
Yeah, it was Joe Don Rudy, I think. Joe Don, whatever his name was. And he married the Playboy Bunny. And that kind of led to those things.
Ernest Tubb never had to resort to anything like that.
Because he could sing. But somewhere along there, country started to make it drifting. And it become
I
something.
guess trying to appeal to too many different things.
Right. Because, used to, you knew who you, like Conway. His specialty was that lady that was at home working around the house, and he sang to her, and he sang to her good. He knew who his audience was. And every few years, he'd do a little adjustment there to make sure she was still listening to him.
Quite a businessman.
Yeah, what was that? I see the want to in your eye. Of course, he hit a home run with that.
Stewart sang the fool out of that, too.
Yeah. And if you've never listened to the song, She's Acting Single, I'm Drinking Double, you've missed out in life.
Gary Stewart's one of my favorites of all time. Nobody ever outsang Gary Stewart.
You could just, that was when you lived the song.
And he sang every song like it was the last song he would ever sing.
You're right.
He didn't hold anything back.
I get over my shop working on stuff, and I got for about 3 country blocks. You can hear what's going on, and it's all country. You're not going to accidentally hear anything else on there.
There's not gonna be no rap coming from that.
No, it's not. A few years ago, me and Debbie. Well, it's been more than a few. It's amazing how time gets away. Me and Debbie were discussing Mindy McCready, and at the time, I didn't realize she was dating a boy from Philadelphia, and I had been to a convention and bumped into her. And I was on an elevator with her. And I spoke to her, and she flat out ignored me. It wasn't but me and her on the elevator. Yeah. So I thought, well, now we were talking about it. And she just happened to be passing through Meridian at that time we were talking about it. So she called me up, and she apologized, and she took me and Debbie to lunch that day. Extremely nice after that. She said I must have been having a bad day, and
yeah, she had a lot going on.
She did.
Fighting depression and alcoholism.
She was arrested during this time on this date. And it was just a few short years later that, she committed suicide in 2013. Sad. And I can't think of it was a songwriter that was from Philadelphia that she dated. And I can't, for the life of me, remember his name.
I think who that would have been.
Philadelphia's been pumping out a bunch. Now, the headliner of the Neshoba County Fair is going to be Hardy, who's coming back to sing there. So salute to him for making it big time.
He's written several things that pretty big hits.
Yeah. I've heard, and I have to be honest, I don't know a lot of his songs, but I did catch one of them talk about the Flatwoods of Kemper County. I thought, that's peculiar. And then I realized who it was. Who remembers this gentleman? He was number one on this date. Bad Bad Leroy Brown went number 1 in 1973.
Jim Croce was great.
That's another one of those things I remember Ken Rainey playing on the radio forever.
Great. And these people that are out now, a lot of them, in 20, 30 years, nobody's going to know who they are.
That's right.
They're not making any kind of a mark. I guess a few of them are, but
it's not many. And he died, if I remember, he died in a plane crash, did he not?
I think so.
There were a lot of greats that went down that way. And as you point out, and me and you were talking a few weeks ago about probably one of my favorite type songs is a drinking song. They generally, boy, there's some good ones out there.
We love a drinking song so much, and we're teetotalers.
Yeah, we don't drink a drop, never have. But boy, I sure love them. Yeah. It's what made country music. What was it that Jerry Lee sang? What made old Milwaukee famous has made a loser out of me.
Made a loser out of me. Yeah.
Strong stuff.
Such despair. Songs like that.
And there's a lot of controversy as to what the greatest country song ever written was. And I've seen 2 to 3 different surveys, and there's always 2 that battle it out for number 1 and number 2. And of course, one of them's going to be George Jones. He stopped loving her today. And the second song would be Hank's
I'm so lonesome
I could cry. And your opinion of which one's the best?
I'd be in the Hank camp if I've got to.
I'm Hank camping too.
That what I think is the greatest changes with me pretty often.
As to what your mood is that day?
Yeah. Like Muddy Waters was talking about the guitar pickers, and somebody asked him who the best one was. Muddy said, ain't no best, just a good one too. And maybe that's the way it ought to be.
But some of these surveys, I look at it and go, who even put this nominated?
Anybody can make a list.
Yeah. But, to me, it's a song that has stood the test of time, that after many, many years, people still like it just as much. Just like the first time you ever heard it, you want to hear it again.
And has been sang and arranged all kind of different ways, and different people doing it.
Yeah.
And different people having hits on it. I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry, Hank knocked it out of the park. Well, then B.J. Thomas had a big hit, changed it all up except the words.
Yeah.
And a big hit again. I don't think anybody ever had another hit on He Stopped Loving Her Today.
That's almost, has anybody even recorded it?
Not much point in doing it after George sung it like he did.
And, the story goes with that was George didn't even want to record it. It was one of those, I don't like it, and bet $100 on it, and he lost the bet, and he said it was the best that he'd ever lost.
That's not even my favorite George Jones song.
Tennessee whiskey. What was your favorite, George?
Window Up Above was mighty good.
Yeah, it sure was. I was trying to think here. George, you go back, you remember the Centerfold song, She'll Never Grace? The Centerfold, Playboy magazine. Shine On was the name of that.
Yeah.
I always liked that. George always had some great drinking ones. And what was the song about the DJ to where he tapes the show to go home? She's having the affair on him.
DJ.
The DJ?
Is that it?
Maybe so. But I can roughly remember that where he tapes his show that night to go home for his bride. Well, she's out with some other little boy. Didn't work out so
did
well.
Did he wind up killing him?
Could have. We're gonna have to look that
a
up.
killing song.
Somebody wanted to know if you're on YouTube and you have any music on YouTube.
Yeah, there's a good bit of stuff on YouTube. Stuff has been recorded over the years, different things. Some of it's high quality and some of it's low quality.
And we got the name of the song. Radio Lover was the name of it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Galen.
Galen knew that.
Yeah. It's just been so long since I'd heard that. But there you go. 18.
The best one of that kind of song is Porter Wagner's Cold Hard Facts of Life.
Cold Hard. I don't remember that one. I thought you were supposed to go to Carroll County Accident. No.
It's one of them killing songs. He'd come back in town early. He was a salesman.
And
stopped at the wine store to get a bottle of wine to go with the flowers he got her. And some old boy in there is paying for some wine. So, yeah. There's a party. Her husband's out of town. And all the way home, he's behind that same car.
That's whose house it was.
He turns in. He drives around the block a few times and drinks his bottle of wine. And then he goes in with his knife.
I have never heard that.
Cold Hard Facts of Life. Oh, it's good.
That's a new one to me. So good stuff there.
We'll look that up in a little bit. Play it, Scotty Ray, right now.
We're gonna have to dig it up.
We used to do that.
Yeah, we used to. Wow, I didn't know that. Porter was a good one. Somebody posted there and of course, I would have to say Marty is kind of taking the place of Porter in town in Nashville anyway, being kind of the spokesperson there.
Yeah, and that great TV show that Marty had. It was Porter's show. You know, he was doing it like Porter done it. And Marty would get the best performance out of anybody. He'd get anybody he had on there. He'd get them to sing what I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
Every time.
Somebody brought, I don't know if you remember that song, Yabba Dabba Doo, The King Is Gone and So Are You.
Yeah.
I'd forgotten about that. Ron Anderson brought that up of an old George Jones song.
Remember that song?
You know, it was a lawsuit over the Flintstones.
Yeah, and
it was referenced in the song without somehow or another getting somebody's approval.
And somebody had that song on hold, too.
And I don't remember who.
And George went ahead and cut it, and it was on hold, and there was a stink about that because somebody else was fixing to cut it or had already cut it, and some promises made and broken.
See, look here, you're just learning a whole lot of things that you didn't know that went on behind the scenes.
Trivial information. We're loaded with it.
It'll do you some good to learn a few things. Let's talk about Galen and his friendly staff there that they've got when it comes to Masterflow Plumbing.
It's time for me to cut Galen another commercial.
It is. I remember when you done that.
Yes, I'll admit you got a sewer problem.
I'd
Fill
forgotten
the
about
tank
it.
up to the top.
See, look at there. Galen, you have to get back in touch with Britt. And they do this. They take care of everybody from Hattiesburg to the Mississippi Gulf Coast. If you've got a plumbing problem, they can do that. You can fill it up to the rim.
He's been doing it a long time. He knows what he's doing.
He does. 36 years of it. If you've got a problem with your pipes out to the road, they do that. Pipes that have been run over, smashed, anything like that. The tree roots grown through it. That happens a lot with your water lines. I've had to dig up many a one in my lifetime. And you get to an age to where, well, you don't want to do that anymore. And that's where Galen handles it for you. They fix this. This is a huge problem with slab leaks where it comes in your home. And they'll get under it, fix it, reroute your pipes for you, get you back going once again there. Even down to as simple getting, because these, after about 15 years, they get hung. They don't work anymore. They'll replace those handles and faucets. And home of the 90-day, $90 guarantee. That's right. They'll come out, fix your pipes, clean them out, guarantee it for 90 days, and they don't charge you a trip charge whatsoever. It's a flat $90 to get you going again. Save some money along the way. From water heaters to toilets, getting those fixed, to even getting your tile done. They'll do all of that. Ceramic tile, get your showers. Talk to Galen. 36 years of experience, licensed insured, again, from Hattiesburg all the way to the Mississippi Gulf Coast.
I'm Rick from Meridian. My life changed forever on my way home from work one Friday night, but I was able to focus on getting healthy because I had Richard Schwartz fighting for me every day. He got me the money I needed to get my life back on track.
I'm here for you. One call, that's all.
And welcome back to Scotty Ray and Candace. Well, Candace has skipped town, and this is Candace this morning, going by Britt today. I didn't realize this in history. 1853 was a date that this place was. You've been there. I have never
I've
been.
there, and if I lived in New York City, I'd stay in Central Park all the time.
Yeah. 750 acres right there in the center of it.
There's plenty of places for your cows to graze.
Yeah.
It's all right.
So check that out. You know, you and I, as we were going down memory lane about music, with Hank, there's so many details about Hank's last 24 hours that he was on this earth that people just don't quite. He was carried out of. Do you believe Hank had already passed away when they toted him out of the motel room and put him in the back seat of the car?
I kind of think it happened right about that time.
And 'cause it didn't much go on after that, did it? He'd gotten a shot from the doctor. He drank a little bit too much that night, and then mixed with could that have done it?
Yeah. He was wore out. He was an old man at 29.
Yeah. Boy, you want to talk about stout. Somebody that just, and then, of course, the Notebook turned up, what was it, back in the 90s there, that was in the car with Hank, where he'd been writing songs, and they threw it in the garbage can. And the janitor found it. And then they tried to sue the janitor for digging it out of it because they wanted it back.
Well, before that, WSM done some remodeling and threw out a bunch of acetates.
Uh-oh.
Of live shows and radio checks, and Mr. George Merritt, North Alabama fella, was involved in some of the Hank books, and he had a friend that was a carpenter, and they were remodeling, and he come out of there, and he saw it box of stuff, and he said, "What y'all gonna do with this? I was throwing it out. If you want any of it, get it." So he got some of it.
Right.
You don't know how much or what else was in there. And sat on it a while and saw what it was, and he called George Merritt and told him, "This says Hank Williams on it." So they listened to it, and it was some of it's been released, but it's all knotted up. Everybody's got a claim on it. It's everybody doing everybody's songs, and it stayed. They released some of it,
but a lot of it tied up in court.
Yeah, tied up things, and Mr. Merritt was a huge Hank Williams fan. Said when he was a boy, he said he lived right out of Montgomery. He said he'd never seen anybody as poor as we were. And said, I didn't have the 50 cents to get in to see the Hank show, but I knew they'd be loading in that afternoon. Said him and one of his buddies went down there hanging around to see if they might get a chance to see Hank.
Right.
So they were sitting out behind the building, and said, "Well, here come Hank." They were in there and come to the back door, and, "What are you fellas doing?" He sat down and talked to them. Oh, they were already in awe of him, but after that, really so.
He become legendary, so to speak.
Said, "Yeah, you boys coming to the show tonight?" "Well, sir, we sure would like to, but we don't have enough money to buy a ticket." Hank said, "Well, you meet me at this door at 15 minutes to 7. We'll see if we can't find you a ticket." So they were elated, and went back there, waited and waited and waited, and said 15 minutes to 7, the back door opened, and there was a white hat, wing-tip cowboy boots. Said Hank told me, "Oh, come on in."
And he let him in the show.
Sat them in the chairs on the side of the stage. Said they watched it from the side of the stage. And he said he was a lifelong Hank fan, and maybe the biggest Hank fan ever. But he said, if you don't think that meant something to a poor boy like me to get to see my hero just like that. Said we didn't have anything.
It makes you live through their story.
Yeah.
And, being able to pass that on, that you met the great Hank Williams. Out of all the people that's ever walked upon this earth, I really and truly wish I could have met Hank.
My biggest musical hero.
It definitely. The people, and, like, you go back to the story of how he wrote I Saw the Light. And I think you know a good bit about that, of coming into town.
Yeah.
And so many people don't. Hank has been accused of, well, he was a sinner, he was that. But God used Hank Williams Do you know how many people probably I Saw the Light has saved and got them to heaven? But tell me the story of I Saw the Light the way you know it.
He was pretty young and coming back in from a show down below Montgomery. It was all night long and getting there, and his mama was in the car with him, and they were driving back in. Hank was sort of half asleep or half whatever,
right,
on the back seat, and he sort of stared up, asked, "How far? Where are we?" And I don't know if it was Don Helms or whoever it was said, "Can't be far. I saw the light." Talking about the light from the tower of the radio station.
And from that, praise the Lord, I saw the light. That song just moves you.
Daddy said, "Son, not all songs that ought to be in the hymnal are in there."
That's true.
There's some in there that shouldn't be, but there's some that are not in there that should be.
And
that's everybody's favorite.
And if you're watching right now, I've never heard of this next song that I'm going to bring up that Hank wrote, that also just really lays out the way. It was just like he was light years smarter than his age. But House of Gold, if you have never heard that, it will just totally set you back in awe. It does me.
In that one particular direction, he was an absolute genius.
Right.
I don't know how he was in other directions. He did drink himself to death.
He did.
So that wasn't smart.
But and you dig into why Hank drank. He had back trouble.
Yeah,
and
all the time.
And medicine is not what it was today. And did he drink to curb the pain? Yeah.
I think part of it.
And the worse the pain got, the more he drank. And if you've ever had any back trouble, you kind of understand where Hank was on that. But he did overdo it, without a doubt. The next lady that I wanted to bring up, and it's just my opportunity to, because I've never seen this lady dressed like this before. And Dolly yesterday released a video to her husband, Carl Dean. And if you remember, back was in the 80s, they put Dolly on the cover of Playboy magazine. Now, she didn't get no clothes on, but she was in a bunny outfit on the front of Playboy magazine. And she always has said when she turned 75, she would be in Playboy. And well, Playboy no longer exists, or at least the way that it used to. And let's go over here and pull this up. This is Dolly.
Today is July 20. It's my husband Carl's birthday. And you're probably wondering why I'm dressed like this. Well, it's for my husband's birthday. Remember, sometime back I said I was going to pose on Playboy magazine when I was 75? Well, I'm 75 and they don't have a magazine anymore. But my husband always loved the original cover of Playboy, so I was trying to think of something to do to make him happy. He still thinks I'm a hot chick after 57 years, and I'm not going to try to talk him out of that. And I hope he agrees. What do you think? Anyway, what I did for his birthday, I did a little photo shoot in this little outfit, and I had a cover made of the new Dolly, or the old new Dolly. And in the first one, see, remember this? I was kind of a little butterball in that one. Well, I'm string cheese now. But he'll probably think I'm cream cheese, I hope. Anyway, I'm going to surprise him, going in singing to him in my little bunny suit. So, what do you think? You think Playboy ought to pay me for at least a photo shoot? I do.
Dolly released that yesterday. And Carl Dean, you just never see the man.
I think I saw one picture of him in his truck.
He has stayed out of the limelight. I mean, and think about this. Could you let your wife run around with Kenny Rogers that much?
I don't know, Kenny.
That's almost a country fight right there. But Dolly, she still looks as gorgeous as she was when she was 30 years old.
Dolly's not a girl who's afraid of upholstery work.
No, I think she's been to the doctor once or twice there and had a few things done there. But a beautiful gal.
Yeah, bully for Dolly.
Woo, boy. So that's in Dolly news this morning there. If you didn't get a chance to do that, yesterday was her birthday, and she celebrated 75. So anyway, I thought I would share that little story there with you.
Is she still recording anything?
You know, she's...
I know she is. Have you heard any of it lately?
Gospel was the last thing that I heard her do, a few gospel tunes. But nothing that just jumps out. You know, there's not been any new Jolene's, I guess you could say, out there.
She was a great songwriter. Her best stuff was mighty good.
Yeah, it was. They say that, and I want you to take note of this, that the life expectancy of an American has dropped about 1 year and 4 months now. Are you aware of all this?
No, I'm not.
Survey out this morning says that 77 years old and 4 months is about the life expectancy of an American. It was almost up to 79. They've backed it up a little bit.
Gracious.
Yeah, that ain't all that far off. I ain't wanting to go just yet. Are you?
No, I wonder what the
COVID has played a huge part of these numbers now of their surveys and how they figure all of this. Huh. Okay, well, I got corrected. It was Carl's birthday yesterday. Doug Jernigan said it was Carl's birthday instead of her birthday.
Yeah,
She's
so
75.
He knows all that stuff.
Yeah. Appreciate the correction there. We appreciate that. I don't know if you're up to date on all this stuff going on with these rich folks that want to run out to space. Are you up to date on that?
Yeah.
This
I'm not going.
Me either. Jeff Bezos, is that how you say his name?
That's good enough. You don't know how to say ours either.
But I'm not. They say he doesn't pay income tax. That he's got all these tax loops and he's not paying. He's a billionaire.
I think that's a pretty good write-off when you
Fly to
do
space.
a spaceship.
But his workers today, the headlines today is that they're mad at him. And what he said was he just I listened to the thing and I didn't find it offensive. He thanked the workers that afforded him, that worked for Amazon, to be able to go to space. He said, y'all paid for it. And they mad at him this morning because he said that.
His money, he can do with it what he wants to.
Yeah, that's the way I look at it. But that's a headline for you this morning. Last week, I brought up a story of and you can't hardly go to New York anymore. You've been there a lot of times. And during Rudy Giuliani's tenure, it got a lot better. It became a place to go for vacation. Not so much now. But a lady and her son were mugged in a subway last week, and she's not going to make it now. She was drugged down some steps going to the subway. Her purse was robbed. She was knocked to the ground, and they drug her down the steps. She's in a coma, and it just sad. I read that, and it touched me.
I think it's turned back into a bad place up there.
It has.
I've been when it was sort of bad, and I've been when it was nice.
Yeah. So you've been to the
Statue
of Liberty, all that. You've been to all of that?
Yeah, we went there on the senior trip, and it looked pretty rough then. But I've been up there several times since then, and it was all right. I sort of felt like I was the toughest joker up there, walking around Hard Hill with boots and hat on.
You looked out of place,
Wouldn't nobody look me in the eyes.
In another story, this happened in South Carolina. If you do travel, this is not a big thing in Meridian, Mississippi, of using Ubers or Uber, however you want to word that. But when you order an Uber, make sure that you're getting into the right car. A girl that was 21 years old orders one, a car pulls up, she gets in the back seat. She was murdered, stabbed 100 times, and then her body dumped. And it'll even send you a picture of the car. But pay attention to those things as you're away from our communities.
Keep your guard up all the time.
Yeah. So that's some headlines that are going on this morning there. You've got some fence to go build here in a little bit, don't you?
Probably so.
And I feel for you on that.
That's not any sign I'm going to do it, but I've got something. I'm thinking about buying an electric fence.
You've never had one?
Never had one.
It
you
will.
know anything about them?
I've touched one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a Bramer after me one time, and I commenced to jump over the fence to get away from him. And it will make you let go and holler, to say the least.
You're our expert, then.
Yeah. And don't ever have to go to the restroom, I'm told, on that, and go near one. That'll light your world up, I hear.
That wasn't in my plan.
We want to say thank you to each and every one of you dropping by this morning, spending a little time with us. Don't forget the North Crest Baptist Church event there with Love Out Loud for the Touch Truck has been changed to tomorrow night, beginning at 5:30. You can make it by for that. We'll be back tomorrow morning. And thank you, Britt, for coming in today.
Glad to be. It was a short show.
It flew by.
We didn't get to play any music. I've strung up a nice Martin guitar, but it won't come through the PA right.
We'll be back tomorrow. Thank y'all for dropping by.
Scotty Ray's Weather is brought to you by